In recent months, our nation and the entire planet has been struck by a new and powerful, invisible enemy.
5 million Americans infected by COVID-19. More than 170,000 Americans have died.
Like those brave Americans before us, we are meeting this challenge. We are delivering life-saving therapies and will produce a vaccine before the end of the year, or maybe even sooner.
We must make sure that the vaccines are affordable.
We will defeat the virus, end the pandemic, and emerge stronger than ever before.
You can't get this country going again unless you get COVID under control.
In recent months, our nation and the world has been hit by the once-in-a-century pandemic
The worst pandemic in over 100 years.
that China allowed to spread around the globe. They could have stopped it, but they allowed it to come out.
We will never get our economy back on track. We will never get our kids safely back in schools. We'll never have our lives back until we deal with this virus.
There will be no return to the old normal for the foreseeable future.
We'll develop and deploy rapid tests with results available immediately.
We have something from Abbott Labs, which is right here, and that's a 5-minute test, highly accurate.
Testing, testing, testing.
What a Biden-Harris administration will do in terms of creating a pandemic testing board to get tens of millions of testing kits where needed.
And it was only the fast approval by FDA that allowed us to do that. It was a really rapid approval. Anybody that needs a test gets a test. They're there. They have the tests, and the tests are beautiful. Anybody that needs a test gets a test.
We'll make the medical supplies and protective equipment that our country needs.
We're taking things that are, genetically modified organisms, and we're injecting them in little kids' arms. We just shoot them right into the vein.
They have to get the shot. The vaccinations are so important. This is really going around now. They have to get their shots.
And then the final solution, which is a year to 2 years off, is the vaccine.
You have no right not to be vaccinated.
Just to head off the conspiracy theorists, maybe we shouldn't call the vaccine the final solution. Maybe just the best solution. Okay?
Yeah, the return to normal solution.
Exactly.
Chart a clear path forward for a safe and effective vaccine.
They have to get their shots.
And guarantee every American, equal access to it by investing $25 billion, which is Joe's plan, $25 billion in manufacturing and distribution.
You have no right not to wear a mask.
We'll have a national mandate to wear a mask, not as a burden, but as a patriotic duty to protect one another.
You have no right to open up your business.
Wait, can I stop you? No right not to be vaccinated? Meaning, if they decide you have to be vaccinated, we have to be vaccinated?
Absolutely. And if you refuse to be vaccinated, the state has the power to literally take you to a doctor's office and plunge a needle into your arm.
I often talk about how vaccines are a miracle. They've saved millions of lives. So you can avoid lots of diseases if you've been properly vaccinated.
They have to get the shot. The vaccinations are so important. This is really going around now. They have to get their shots.
And that's why Gavi was created. Gavi came up with the money and a plan to get vaccines out to all the kids of the world.
Gavi operates with great transparency.
Gavi came up with the money and a plan to get vaccines out to all the kids of the world.
As the coronavirus has shown, there are no borders. It doesn't discriminate. It's mean, it's nasty, but we're going to all take care of it together. It's great to be partnering with you. We will work hard. We will work strong. Good luck. Let's get the answer.
Now, we don't want to have a lot of recovered people. To be clear, we're trying through the shutdown in the United States to not get to 1% of the population infected. We're well below that today, but with exponentiation, you could get past that 3 million. I believe we will be able to avoid that with the having this economic pain.
In preparation for this initiative, experts throughout the government have been collaborating to evaluate roughly 100 vaccine candidates. Through Operation Warp Speed, the federal government is providing unprecedented support and resources to safely expedite the trials.
Gavi came up with the money and a plan to get vaccines out to all the kids of the world.
While we accelerate the final phases of vaccine trials, Operation Warp Speed will be simultaneously accelerating its manufacturing processes.
So you can avoid lots of diseases if you've been properly vaccinated.
We're gearing up on the assumption that we'll have, in the near future, relatively near future, a vaccine.
Eventually, what we'll have to have is certificates of who's a recovered person, who's a vaccinated person.
God willing, we will have a cure, some therapies, or we'll have a vaccine.
Eventually, what we'll have to have is certificates of who's a recovered person, who's a vaccinated person.
We will have a very successful vaccine, therapeutic, and cure. We're making tremendous progress. Well, when we have the vaccine, we have the military all lined up, and the military is going to be doing it in a very powerful manner. These are people that don't usually do vaccines. They do soldiers, and they do lots of other things that, frankly, are more difficult. But we have our general, and logistically, he's all set.
About vaccines, obviously, everybody in Congress and in this country wants a vaccine. We want it as quickly as possible, as effective as possible.
If we don't get a vaccine, we can test all we want, we can treat all we want, but it will never be the same. We might be in a rut for a long time.
But if we had the vaccine, and we will, if we had therapeutic or cure, one thing sort of blends into the other, it will be a fantastic day, and I think that's going to happen, and it's going to happen very soon.
So let's look at each one of these and see how we can get this down to zero. Probably one of these numbers is going to have to get pretty near to zero. Now, the world today has 6.8 billion people. That's headed up to about 9 billion. Now, if we do a really great job on new vaccines, healthcare, reproductive health services, we could lower that by perhaps 10 or 15%.
I would imagine that vaccine would be distributed to all people free of charge. We'll make sure at least that everybody in America who needs that vaccine will get it, regardless of their income.
My administration has also taken the most aggressive action in modern history to protect Americans from the coronavirus. You know about this whole thing. Horrible. Today, we met with the big, great pharmaceutical companies, and they're really working hard and they're working smart. And we had a great meeting today with a lot of the great companies, and they're going to have vaccines, I think, relatively soon. And they're going to have something that makes you better, and that's going to actually take place, we think, even sooner. So it's a lot of good things are happening.
About 9% of all children died before the age of 5.
They have to get the shot.
Now, that number is about 4%. And these vaccines that Gavi got out have been critical to that.
The vaccinations are so important.
So it really is a miracle. You can read more about vaccines and the investments we've made at gatesletter.com.
I will certainly advocate that everyone is able to receive the vaccine regardless of income or any other circumstance.
They have to get their shot. Our task is so urgent that under Operation Warp Speed, the federal government will invest in manufacturing all of the top vaccine candidates before they're approved. So we're knowing exactly what we're doing before they're approved. That means they better come up with a good vaccine because we're ready to deliver it.
We're ready to deliver it.